Well, apologies for the delay. We are recording an NBA 2K rating recap for, January 19th through the 22nd. We're going to do 4 days worth of games. I try to do these daily, but I had a lot of stuff back me up. So we're just going to roll through Monday through Thursday, MLK game starting off. We also had the All Star starters announced, which are Giannis in the East, Giannis, Jalen Brown, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, a first time starter. Donovan Mitchell was the notable snub from the starting lineup, which is determined by a combination of fan voting, player voting, and I forget the other one. I think the coaches. But Western Conference, Jokic, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Steph Curry, Luka, Wemby. And I'm sorry, it's not coaches are for the reserves. It's media members also vote. So it's like a 1/3 split, and then there's an algorithm that kind of figures it out. But yeah, Anthony Edwards in the West didn't make the cut. LeBron's starter streak also ended at they think like 21 or 22 consecutive seasons. So we'll see if he makes it. Edwards obviously will make it as a reserve. We'll see if LeBron plays enough for him to do so as well. I haven't. I would like to eventually sit down and figure out who my All Star reserves are, but this video is going to be long enough as we have 31 games to break down between Monday and Thursday. So 62 teams we're going to go through. Just a general disclaimer for this video and moving forward, there are going to be fewer notes for players because we're halfway through the year already. So we're more or less at a point where the samples are large enough. Most players have essentially established a baseline, so I don't need to notate every single time player X scores 20 points if they're averaging 19 or 21, etc. But we're going to start off in Golden State on the MLK day. Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. He is going to be out for the season. It happened against the Miami Heat, the ultimate karma comeuppance, if you ask me. He's obviously out for the year, likely out until mid-season of next year. So huge repercussions for the Warriors this year and moving forward. This essentially eliminates them from contention, and probably it's just the end of the Steph era unless they're able to somehow flip Jimmy's salary and just bring in another comparable level player. Jimmy, for what it's worth, is the second oldest player in history to suffer a torn ACL. Former Heatle Chris Birdman Anderson had one at age 38, and he basically never returned. So, uh, yeah, it's kind of a similar situation to what happened with the Bucks and Damian Lillard last year. So I wonder if the stretch provision would be an option for a Golden State. I haven't really looked at who's available yet in free agency to know if it would be worth it for them to do that, if there's anybody that would actually make them better. Not that Miles Turner has made Milwaukee much better, but you understand the similar thinking. It's also comparable to the Maverick situation and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, of course, also tore his ACL. But can you imagine the Dallas Mavericks if they didn't draft Cooper Flag? That would be such a their season would be such a bitter pill without Flag, as AD's only played like 20 games and Kyrie has yet to play at all this year, and they just have like nothing on the roster that's like compelling at all. Like their top rookie is an undrafted guy in Ryan Nembhard, aside from Cooper Flag, of course. Um, yeah, that would be ugly, and that's kind of like the path that Golden State might be headed down because, I mean, just in general, they don't have anybody really compelling on this roster. Their last hurrah of the Steph era might end up having to be like trading Draymond Green to bring in a comparable, another high level player. But yeah, it's not looking great. We'll get to let's actually get into the meat of the game itself. But the Warriors moved to 25-19 with the 135 to 112 win over the Miami Heat, but obviously is I don't even I don't even actually have any notes for the game. I forgot to write down uh, what the lines were for Curry, etc. Because obviously the big news was just Jimmy Butler for that game. As far as the Heat, they dropped to 22-21. Bam Adebayo was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, his first time winning the award since January of 2024, 2 years ago. Uh, he averaged 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and took the Heat to a 2-1 record, including a win over OKC. Versus the Warriors, though, kind of similar to when Jaren Jackson Jr. won the award, and then he put up a goose egg in the next game. 4 points for Bam Adebayo on 1 of 13 shooting over 5 from 3. Needless to say, he will not repeat as the Player of the Week. Davion Mitchell and Jaime Jaquez were both back in the lineup for the Heat in this one. Going over to Milwaukee, who we talked about a little bit. 18-24 they moved to with a 112-110 win, taking advantage of the slumping Atlanta Hawks. Kevin Porter Jr. coming off the bench in this one, so we have a lineup change. He has gone ice cold of late, so you can see I dropped him down to 80 overall, just with doing the intangibles debuff, and also changing his position back to point guard. They started Kuzma at small forward, AJ Green back to his natural position at shooting guard. Doc Rivers said the team wanted more size, so this is a more conventional lineup. Giannis, 21 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists. AJ Green was solid with 18, 6 of 12 from 3. All his field goal attempts were threes. Bobby Portis off the bench with 19. And KPJ, solid all-around game. 9 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists in 28 minutes. He's essentially backing up of both guard spots. Gary Trent Jr. was out of the rotation in this game. Gary Harris playing some 3, and Pete Nance was actually the backup center in this one. Although I guess you could argue either he's the center or Portis, but he's a stretch big man, and really the last couple of years he has shot the ball well from 3. Just he's the third center, and you're not always able to get those guys in the lineup. He's not as good of a rebounder as Jericho Sims, and that's a lot of what they've needed so far this year. They've just been terrible offensive rebounding outside of Giannis. But yeah, that's what they went with, and they got the win against the Hawks, who have dropped to 20-25. Jalen Johnson snapped out of his slump, though, with 28, 12, and 6. Nickeil Alexander-Walker added 32 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Dyson Daniels, a near triple-double with 17, 9, and 10. And Corey Kispert got the start in this one. I had alluded to this being a possibility when he joined the team. He had a quiet game, 2 points, 1 of 4 from the field in 20 minutes. But Vit Krejci essentially more or less lost his starting job. Was off the bench. He was 0 for 6 from 3 in this one, so he's been struggling quite a bit. CJ McCollum off the bench as well with 17 points. You'll notice that I've changed the position for Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I'll cover that in the next time we cover the Hawks in this video. We're going to be bouncing all throughout. A lot of these teams are going to get covered 2 to 3 times. It's just easier to do it game by game rather than structuring everything together. I have 14 pages of notes, and it's not worth it to reorganize it. OKC, they moved to 36-8 with a huge blowout over the Cavs, 136-104. SGA, 30 points for him. He was the Western Conference Player of the Week. Again, averaging 31, 4, and 4 with 2 blocks per game last week. Took the Thunder to a 2-1 record. Their loss was the 2-point loss against the Heat that we referenced before. 55, 40, 91 shooting split. He was a plus 43 in his 103 minutes played. Chet Holmgren, he had 28 points in this one, 11 of 16 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3, so he was big once again. Their first game without Jalen Williams, first game again without Jalen Williams again. So they started Jalen Williams. He only played 8 minutes, but then he got hurt, so they went to Kenrich in the second half. He had a pretty solid game overall. Cleveland They dropped to 24 and 20. Darius Garland is going to be out for about a week with his toe injury. Sam Merrill still out as well. So Donovan Mitchell getting the start at point guard, 19 points, 3 assists. Jalen Tyson moving down to the 2. It's 16 points, 10 rebounds. And Dean Wade made his return to the lineup. He got the start at small forward, played 16 and a half minutes in this one. Going over to the Clippers, they got a nice win over the Wizards in 110 to 106. They moved to 19 and 23 on the season. Kawhi Leonard did not play in this one. He was sent home from the road trip due to irritation, not of the Chris Paul variety, just knee irritation. So he is already back. We'll cover him at the end of the video. John Collins back in the lineup. He had 11 points. James Harden had a big one against the hapless Wizards. 36 points, 9 assists. 9 of 17 from the field. Missed all 5 of his threes, but he was 18 of 20 from the free throw line, taking advantage of those young backcourt defenders. Clippers were only 5 of 18 from 3, 18%, but they got to the line 16 more times than Washington. And Jordan Miller had another strong performance off the bench. 16 points, played 28 minutes. Patrick Baldwin Jr. signed a 10-day deal out of the Clippers G League affiliate. He will probably take a two-way spot on the team once Miller and Sanders get promoted after the trade deadline, after they move. They open up Chris Paul's roster spot and probably somebody else. Washington, they dropped to 10 and 32. Alex Sarr, 28 points. Keyshawn George with 18. Bob Carrington with 17. Trey Johnson with 15. Those guys should be the starting backcourt the rest of the way. Once Koulibaly is healthy again, they will probably start him at the 4 after the deadline, after they move off of Chris Middleton, assuming Chris Middleton wants to be bought out. I imagine he would. He probably would want to rejoin Milwaukee. That's where I have him penciled in to go back to on a minimum. Dallas, they got a nice win over the Knicks, 114 to 97. Cooper Flagg made his return to the lineup, had 18 points. Max Christie has been red hot of late, 26 points, 8 of 10 from 3. And then Moussa Cisse gave his best Mitchell Robinson impression, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks. And they stole a win. Despite a very short-handed lineup, they got a big win over the New York Knicks, who are spiraling. Desolatory loss for them. They dropped to 25 and 18. Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart back. They were at full strength in this game, but they were blown out by this banged-up Mavericks team. Brunson, 22. Cat, 22 and 18. OG and Bridges and Hart all combined for 26 points on 9 of 24 from the field, so not enough scoring on the wings. Mitchell Robinson, he had 12 and 14 in only 18 minutes, as obviously Dallas is very short-handed in the front court. Only 2 minutes for Jordan Clarkson. He appears to be out of the rotation completely as Landry Shamet. He's played 23 minutes, has really eclipsed Clarkson since coming back from injury. So let me actually see if I can, let's drop that. And yep, good. We dropped his overall by 1 point. If you're not familiar with my intangible scale, 60 is for third strings, 70 is for reserves, 80 is for starters, 90 is for all-stars, and then 99 is for like all NBA guys or players that we need to max out because the overall rating formula for the position is cracked and not effective. Or 25s. 50 is for G Leaguers, and then 25 is for players who are otherwise going to rate too high. Knicks don't have any of those at the moment, but for example, usually it's big men with high rebound ratings, like Goga Batadze, for example. If he had a 70 to indicate a role player, he'd end up rating like 82 and be higher than Wendell Carter Jr. and then start over Wendell Carter Jr. So that's not good. That's why I do the debuff or the the buff. For what it's worth, actually, let's just remove that from Jackson Hayes. I think we can afford to do that. Don't go too high. Don't be like a 78. Yeah, 70 is fine. All right. Anyway, let's go over to the Spurs. They moved to, 30-13 with a big 123-110 win over the Utah Jazz. Wemby, huge game, 33 points, 10 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 10 of 18 from the field, 7 of 12 from 3, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Utah obviously doesn't have the greatest front court in the world. Centers usually abuse them. Steph Castle, 18 points, 8 assists. De'Aaron Fox, 14 points, 8 assists. Dylan Harper, 15 points, 5 assists. So the backcourt really did some work against a not great defensive team in the Utah Jazz. They dropped to 14-29. Nurkic and Svi Mikhailiuk were both back in the lineup and starting. So Filipowski and Isaiah Collier went back to the bench. Bryce Sensabaugh was out for this one. Keontae George led the way with 30 points, 6 assists. Nurkic with another solid game, 20 points. I do need to boost his rating. He's had a couple good games that we'll talk about during this video. Philly, they moved to 23-18 on the year, 113-104 with a win over the Pacers. Paul George was out for this one against his former team, so Kelly Oubre got the start. Joel Embiid had 30 points. Obviously, the Pacers, as with a lot of these teams that are very short-handed in the middle, certain teams are just giving it up to opposing centers. The Pacers have been one of those all year. And Tyrese Maxey added 29 points, 8 assists, and 8 steals, which I presume are his career high, definitely a season high. Sixers overall had 18 steals to force 22 Indiana turnovers. They are the worst offensive team in the NBA. Andrew Nembhard, 25 points. Pascal Siakam, 24. Pacers, by comparison, had only 4 steals to force only 8 Philadelphia turnovers. So that ended up being the difference in the game. Phoenix, they moved to 26-17 with a 126-117 win over the Brooklyn Nets. Suns shot 57% from the field in this one, 51% from 3, 20 of 39. Dylan Brooks led the way with 27, Devin Booker 24, Colin Gillespie with 22. The Nets, they dropped to 12-29. MPJ, Drake Powell, and Zaire Williams, they're all back in the lineup. Yegor Doman and Cam Thomas were both out for this one. Porter led the way with 23 points. Traore, another solid game as a reserve, 10 points in 22 minutes. He's been coming on over the last week or so, though his season production is still pretty dreadful. Detroit, they moved to 31-10 on the season with a close 104-103 win over the Boston Celtics. It could be a conference finals matchup at the current rate. Cade led the way with 16 points, 14 assists. Tobias Harris led them in scoring with 25 points. Boston, they dropped to 26-14 with the loss. Jaylen Brown, he led the way with 32 points. Peyton Pritchard returned from a one-game absence. He had 17. But Derek White, only 4 points on 1 of 11 shooting. His shooting has been up and down throughout the season. We're going to move on to the January 20th Tuesday games now, of which there are 7. Going back to the Phoenix Suns. 27-17, they moved to with the win over the Sixers, 116-110. Jalen Green made his return to the lineup. Had 12 points in 20 minutes, came off the bench for the first time in his career. He was subbing for Royce O'Neal during this game. They were running with Booker, Green, and Allen were the perimeter guys in each of the stints, with Dylan Brooks at the 4, Oso Ighodaro at the 5. So I tentatively changed his position to small forward as a result of that. We'll see what the sub patterns are in subsequent games. But I do need to get his rating in. He's barely played this year, but I think 84 is kind of fine. It's still blending in last season. Philadelphia, they dropped to 23 and 19. It was a back-to-back for them, so Embiid and George were both out. George, this was just his second consecutive game missed, but Embiid sat this one out. Andre Drummond, he got the start, had 8 points and 15 rebounds in 22 minutes. Adem Bona had the better game overall, 11 and 10. He played 26 minutes. Those guys are going to platoon anytime Embiid is out. Kelly Oubre was productive in his spot start with 21 points, was 5 of 10 from 3. VJ led the way with 25 points, and Tyrese Maxey, only 20 points for him on 7 of 25 shooting. Chicago, they moved to 22 and 22 on the year, up to 500 with a 138 to 110 blowout win over the Clippers, who are still without Kawhi Leonard, of course. 7 Bulls in double figures. Kobe White continues to start at point guard, had 27 points, 6 assists with 6 of 10 from 3. But Trey Jones still putting up numbers off the bench, 15, 8, and 10, a near triple-double in 26 minutes. Modest Mazelis with 21 at small forward. He was 4 of 8 from 3. And then the Bulls overall shot 57% from the field, 53 from 3, 25 of 47 overall from there. So they blew the doors off of the Clippers. They dropped to 19 and 24. John Collins and James Harden led the way. Harden with 24, Collins with 23. Going over to the Rockets, they moved to 26 and 15, 111 and 106, shutting down the Spurs, their interconference or interstate rivals. Alperen Şengün leading the way with 20 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 short of a triple-double. KD with 18, Jabari Smith Jr. with 17, and then Reed Shepherd off the bench with 21 points to lead the team. Tari Eason also made his return from injury, came off the bench, had 6 points in 20 minutes. Steven Adams, we got the reporting. Grade 3 ankle sprain for him, which means that the ligament is fully torn. So he's going to be out at least 2 months, plus ramping up. So he's probably out for at least the rest of the regular season. Maybe he comes back for a few games in April to get in shape for the playoffs, but it wouldn't even surprise me if he missed some playoff games too. Obviously, for a guy his size and age, they are going to take it slow. San Antonio, they dropped to 30 and 14 on the year. Julian Champagnie led the way with 27 points. He's been awesome this year. 8 of 16 from 3. I need to get his overall rating into the 80s-ish range. It's about time. I think I already have him maxed over here. No. Okay. Well, let's do that at the very least. I think I do want to go all the way with him. There we go. Pause. So yeah, Champagnie's been awesome this year. Wemby, he was cold in this one. 14 points, 10 rebounds, but he was only 5 of 21 from the field, 0 for 7 from 3. Steph Castle also was couldn't hit a shot either. 13 points and 8 assists, 5 of 19 from the field. Both of those guys combining for 10 of 40. 25% from the field. So Rockets played some good D in this one. Going over to Utah again. They moved to 15 and 29 with a big upset win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, 127 to 122. Sorry about that, Austin Ainge. It's their first win of the year without Lauri Markkanen. Keontae George went nuts with 43 points. Only 3 assists, very high usage game for him. Isaiah Collier, 18 and 10 off the bench in 26 minutes, so they still are playing a fair amount together. Yusuf Nurkic with a triple-double. 16 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists. He's making a huge comeback in his contract year. Ace Bailey added 20 points in another power forward start. I'm not going to change their positions yet until we get some clarity on like Lauri Markkanen, because I do anticipate that he'll go back to getting most of his minutes at the 3 once Markkanen is back. But yeah, the Jazz overall shot 55%, held the Wolves to 44%. Minnesota, I don't really have many notes for them. Rudy Gobert, he returned double-doubled, had 10 and 11. Naz Reid also played in this game after having his shoulder scare in the last one, where he only played like 5 or 6 minutes. He had 13 points and 9 rebounds, so good that these guys dodged the injury bug. Anthony Edwards had 38, but they just were not able to stop Utah from having their way in this game. So going over to the Lakers, they moved to 26-16 with a 115-107 win over the Denver Nuggets. Luka Doncic, triple-double, 38, 13, and 10. LeBron also pretty close to a triple-double with 19, 9, and 8. DeAndre Ayton, only 15 minutes, did not play in the second half after getting poked in the eye, but wasn't on the injury report for the next game. So that's some good news at least. Denver, obviously still very short-handed. They've been a little up and down on these nights. Jamal Murray, 28 and 11. Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon with 18 points each. Toronto, they got a big win over the Warriors, 145-127. Speaking of teams that did not play defense, they moved to 26-19 on the year. Shot 59% from the field in this one, 62% from 3, 21 of 34 from 3, and then 22 of 22 from the free throw line. Did not miss a free throw. So they barely missed a shot in this game. 145 points on 86 field goal attempts. That's absolutely insane. I think that's like a 1.7 like points per field goal attempt. Wild. Quickly, career night for him. 40 points, 10 assists, 11 of 13 from the field, 7 of 8 from 3, 11 of 11 from the free throw line. It's a perfect night for him. So I did knock him up to an 84 overall. That is +1 from where I had him at, +3 from where 2K Sports has him. Scotty Barnes, he got a start at the 5. Golden State's a good matchup for him to do that against. He had a big one, a big game against them in the last one. 26, 7, and 11 for him. 12 of 18 from the field. Mamu got he came off the bench, 14 and 12 in 26 minutes, 4-4 from 3. Kyle Murray Boyles was out for this game. Jamal Shed starting again at I guess arguably shooting guard. Quickly probably was more of the shooting guard in this one, but he did have 10 points, 8 assists. So their 2 point guards combined for 50 points and 18 assists in this one. He played 30 minutes. Grady Dick got the start at small forward. Had 10 points, and then Brandon Ingram got the start at the 4, had 22 points, 5 assists, was 4-6 from 3 in this one. Golden State, this was their first game without Jimmy Butler since the torn ACL, so they were just completely shell-shocked, I guess. Brandon Pajemski, he got the start in this one with Moses Moody sliding up to the 3. Curry had only 16 points. He was a -25 in this game. Buddy Hield off the bench with 25 points in 20 minutes. He was 7 of 8 from the field, 6 of 6 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. Was a +10 in this game, so maybe he's somebody that they rely on for more offense with Jimmy out of the lineup now. But really the big story for Golden State was the fact that Jonathan Kuminga was exhumed. He scored 20 points in 21 minutes of action off the bench, 7 of 10 from the field, was a +3 in this game. After not playing for over a month, I think, just being in Steve Kerr's doghouse and the team waiting for a trade. That's a very interesting development in the wake of the Butler injury. I wonder if the Butler injury makes it less likely now that they trade Kuminga, as they actually have they actually kind of need him to play, and for what they're seeing in trade offers, it's not even a guarantee that they could get an actual like player who's better than Kuminga. I don't know. Like he hasn't really had much demand. He would just be matching salary, but now they actually kind of need him, and the fact that he can't shoot like kind of doesn't really matter because they're just out of like actual players over 6'4". Um, so we'll see what happens there. If he is going to play, I do need to get his rating, a rating update in for him. There's a few Warriors that I still have to get some work in on. Really, most of their top guys outside of the core, their top four guys plus Will Richard. Yeah, I've alphabetically, Golden State is at the bottom for me. They're the second to last team alphabetically that I've been cycling through. So where I have to differentiate myself from 2K Sports somehow because they're always the first team that they edit, it seems, at any given time, since that is their local team that a pin drops and they're all over it over there. Miami, they moved to 23-21 with the 130-117 win over the Kings. Again, I just don't have notes. Bam 25, Norm Powell 22. That doesn't really affect their ratings in the slightest at all. So going over to the Kings, they dropped to 12-32. Westbrook 22 points. He's been having a nice bounce back season. Statistically, hasn't really led to many wins, but Domantas Sabonis, again, coming off the bench, 6 points, 10 rebounds, played 17 minutes. I guess he's still on a minutes restriction. DeRozan, 23 points. Levine and Monk adding 18, but they just didn't play enough defense in this game. And now we're up to Wednesday, the January 21st games, 7 of them. Let's go. We're going to go back to Cleveland. They moved to 25-20 with a 94-87 win over the Charlotte Hornets. Another game without Garland and Merrill. It was just an ugly, ugly game. Cavs shot 39%, 20% from 3, 8 of 40. They held the Hornets to 34%, 17% from 3, 8 of 47. So the two teams combining to go 16 of 87 from 3. Mitchell led the way in this one with 24. Charlotte, they dropped to 16-28. LaMelo came off the bench again in this one. He was awful. 2 points, 1 of 15 from the field, over 10 from 3 in 22 minutes. Charles Lee just needs to stop with this idea. Turning LaMelo into a second unit chucker rather than like making him play with some semblance of structure in the first unit, it's just not going to lead to wins. Letting LaMelo be LaMelo is just not it's just not winning basketball. And yeah, it showed itself in a big way in this game. Brandon Miller, he led the team in scoring with 24. He's been playing a lot better over the last 2 weeks. Konkanippel, 21-11. Sion James, he got the start for LaMelo, but he was scoreless in this one. I guess was also in there for defensive purposes to match up with Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. I don't know what they're... It seems like they've been throwing shit at the wall this week. Celtics, they got a nice win over the Pacers, 119-104, moving to 27-16 on the year. Jaylen Brown, complete game for him, 30-10-5 with 3 steals. Sam Hauser had a nice shooting game, 17 points, 5 of 7 from 3. He's been shooting well as a starter all month. Probably could boost his 3-point rating another 2 points or so. Neemias Queta, 17-9, close to a double-double for him, but had a season high, 5 blocks. Again, centers always post big lines against Indy. Indy, they dropped to 10-35 on the year. Siakam with 32-10. Jarris Walker was the next up in scoring with 19 points off the bench. He has been scoring a little better lately, but this is, again, grasping at straws for this team. The Pacers shot 39%. There's not a lot to really discuss with them. So we're going to go back to the Knicks, who got the biggest win in franchise history, beating down the Brooklyn Nets 120-66. They moved to 26-18 on the season. I absolutely cackled at this result. I personally find... We're going to get on my soapbox real quick. I personally find most of Nets Twitter to just be completely insufferable. like there are countless people on both sides, on both franchises, who just don't understand like the logistics of why the Mikal Bridges trade was good. The 5 picks the Knicks traded were not high quality, and they added him for a bunch of players who are all out of the league now. So they didn't trade anything except dead salary. And his salary for the last 2 years, he's extremely underpaid. Um, ignoring his extension, which kind of compensates for the fact that he's been underpaid for the last 5 years or so. Um, his salary has kept the Knicks under the second apron, which is what is allowing them to contend for the next 4 years, which we'll get to that in just a second. Um, in general, everyone has been up in arms and like all of basketball media, like trolling the Knicks about a 2-8 stretch. It's the most prisoner of the moment shit like I've ever fucking seen. They were in the conference finals like mere months ago with the same team, and they had plenty of bad stretches under Tom Thibodeau over the last how many years. Um, every team has its ups and downs. They are not a this they were never going to be like a real top tier contender. It's still the same team. They're a 50-win team. They're a second round team on average most years. That some years, when you say second round on average, some years they might make the conference finals. Other years they might get knocked out in the first round. Um, the idea that the Knicks were going to be quote unquote contenders was more or less just based on Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton both getting hurt, which was in theory going to knock both of those teams out. It did for Indy. It did not for Boston. They have still been able to find a way to win because they have a great system and still some pretty good players on that roster, who like Peyton Pritchard and Derek White, who are thriving in extended roles. And also they moved off of some dead weight, and like Porzingis wasn't really able to stay healthy for them. Al Horford hasn't really done much. They've gotten younger by moving off of him at essentially what was the right time. And Detroit, they've taken a step forward. That's why they're the top team in the East. It's not because the Knicks are like disappointing or anything. They're the same quality of team that they always were. Somebody else got better. A younger team got better, which is what they were supposed to do. The Knicks are still like age 28 to 30, their entire core. So it's like they weren't supposed to take a big step forward or anything. They kind of are what they are at this point, which is still kind of a flawed roster because they have 2 players who are not great at defense as like the core of their team. They're always going to be able to be attacked in a playoff series. Offensively, they are, with Mike Brown, they're getting more out of Mikal Bridges, especially OG, Josh Hart. There's like more offensive balance to the team than there was under Tom Thibodeau. But yeah, I just think the whole and what makes Nets Twitter so insufferable is because they have all of the Knicks picks. Like their whole entire fan base is just exists to like act like doom and gloom for the Knicks. Like, oh, every loss that the Knicks get, it's making their picks better. So like they're invested in every single Knicks loss, which I mean, I don't actually know any Nets fans in real life, and I live in New York City. It's really just like a Twitter contingent of like people who just don't want to root for the Knicks for whatever reason. I don't really know what. Nets Twitter is weird, man. That's I don't know. I don't really get it. Um, but as far as the game itself, nothing to really discuss from the Knicks end, as they won this game by 54 points. So obviously there was just a lot of extended garbage time. No one player blew the doors off the house or anything like that. Brunson led them with 20. Landry Shamet is really the one guy who had like a notable game. He was 6 for 6 from 3. So he's clearly over the shoulder injury that he missed 6 weeks for. And I guess the other notable is Pacome Dadier played 7 minutes in this game, and he still couldn't score against this shitty-ass Nets team. That was my one major note for the game. Brooklyn, You got what you had this coming. They dropped to 12 and 30. They shot 20 fucking 9% in this game. 12 of 39 from two. 66 points is an NBA low this season. Just an absolutely laughable performance. Again, don't worry about the Knicks. Worry about your own damn team. By the way, they don't have a first-round pick next season, so they actually will be trying to win games next year with this joke of a roster, especially once they trade Michael Porter Jr. Let's just, for troll's sake, let's actually review the Nets' 2025 first-round pick performances in this game. Demon, he actually made his return, had 6 points. Drake Powell, he got the start also. He had 6 points too. Danny Wolf, he had 3. Nolan Traore, he's been playing better, but he was scoreless in this one. And then Ben Saraf, he was in the G League again. So they got 15 points combined out of their 5 first-round picks. MPJ had 12 points to lead the way in this game, 4-14 from the field. Zaire Williams, 11 points. He was the only other player in double figures in this game, if you can call it that. Moving on to the rest of the NBA that actually plays meaningful basketball. The Atlanta Hawks, they moved to 21-25, stealing a win from the Grizzlies, 124-122. Jalen Johnson, 32-15-8. Corey Kispert with another start. He had 8 points in 14 minutes. Vic Krejci, I dropped him down to a 78 overall, just -1 with his demotion / shooting slump that he's been in. Dyson Daniels, as mentioned, I did move him over to point guard. He had 3 points, 8 assists. He and Nickeil Alexander-Walker actually have been sharing point guard duties. Both of them start halves together and then close the game together. But other than those stretches, they're actually subbing for each other. And then CJ will check in at shooting guard, but then he's not subbing with Daniels or Alexander Walker during those stretches. He's actually subbing for Luke Kennard. So he'll sub in, and then Luke Kennard will check in for CJ. So these guys are doing 5-minute stints for each other during the middle of the game, whereas Daniels and Alexander Walker are alternating between point guard during the meat of the game. But then obviously both of those guys are the closers late. I think CJ also has been closing games. Obviously, they don't have any great shakes at small forward, so that makes sense for them to do that. But yeah, so far I still have CJ at point guard, just because it's kind of it makes sense to do so. If you put both all 3 of these guys at shooting guard, the rotations kind of get a little weird in game. But yeah, so far I'm still on the fence a little bit. I might be switching Nickeil Alexander Walker and Daniels back and forth throughout the year depending on what happens. Luke Kennard also is a trade candidate. If he gets traded, that's an easy swap over to shooting guard for CJ. Memphis, they dropped 18-24, but they got another solid performance out of Ja Morant. 23 points, 12 assists, 3 blocks. They leave that to season high. 7 of 15 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Is he back? I certainly think so. I moved him back up to an 87 overall, +2. He's back to being the top-rated player on the Memphis Grizzlies. I had him down all the way at 84 just a month ago. So, nice resurgence from Ja. Let me get some water. Still recovering from my illness that ended up backing us up, leading to what's probably going to be an hour-long video. But Santi Aldama, he was out for this one. So John Conchar got the start. NBA.com listed him at center rather than Jaren Jackson Jr. It's that's why I don't really go off of NBA.com's positions. But Jock Landale, he doubled off the bench in this one with 13 and 11. He's been solid throughout the year. Will command a lot more than the minimum next off season. Detroit, they moved to 32 and 14 on the year. 112 to 104 over the Pels. Cade sat this one out. Dennis Jenkins got the start. He had 17 points. Jalen Duren, 20 and 15. So nice, easy win over the Pels. They dropped to 10 and 36. Zion, only 15 minutes in this game, left due to illness, not injury at the very least. 4 points, 2 of 5 from the field. 0 for 3 from the free throw line. That might have been an indicator of, he just didn't have it tonight. Probably time to pack it in. Maybe he wasn't seeing straight. Who knows? But yeah, at least it wasn't an injury. Sadiq Bey led the way with 20 points. OKC, they moved to 37 and 8 with a blowout over the Bucks, 122 to 102. SGA with another MVP performance, 40 and 11. 16 of 19 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, 2 turnovers in 33 minutes, absolutely dominant. The Thunder started a 4-guard alignment with I rebuild it and it just automatically puts AJ at the 5 because it's going to prioritize Chet at the 4 because it's his natural position, even though I'm out of players that are allowed to be starters, and Mitchell doesn't have that in his positions. So yeah, if you automate it, it's going to put him there, but obviously this is essentially what their rotation is. In fact, you might even argue that SGA is like playing small forward, just kind of based on the size for all these guys. But either way, AJ Mitchell, 19 points in his start. Kaysen, 9 points, 4 steals. Dort at the 4 had 13 points. Kenrich Williams played a pretty big role off the bench in this one, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 28 minutes, was the backup 5. Thunder have been out without Isaiah Hartenstein for quite some time now. Going over to the Bucks, they dropped to 18 and 25. They were without Miles Turner and Kevin Porter Jr. in this game. So Giannis got the start at the 5, had 19, 14, and 7. Gary Harris started at the small forward. He had 3 points in 9 minutes. So they did not go back to that in the second half. Pete Nance, 11 points for him, 3 of 5 from 3. Played 30 minutes off the bench. He's firmly entrenched as the backup 5 now, so I'll probably end up switching him and Portis's positions. Going back to Toronto, they moved to 27 and 19 on the year. 122 to 109 over the Kings. Scotty Barnes, 23, 8 and 7. Mamu, 22 and 9. Ingram, 23. Emmanuel Quickly with 18 points and 8 assists. Jamal Shed with another start, 15 points, 6 assists for him. So Toronto hanging in there despite injuries to multiple starters. Sacramento, they dropped to 12 and 33. Sabonis was out just because it was a back-to-back. Westbrook with 23, Levine 19, Dennis Schroeder 16, Monk 17. They've been getting better offensive production, at least out of the backcourt. They don't really have anybody that could guard their own shadow, though. So yeah, they dropped this to Toronto. And that ends the Wednesday games. We're now up to Thursday in the NBA, January 22nd. 8 games to now power through. Let's go. We're almost done. Charlotte. Thanks for sticking with me, by the way. Charlotte, 17 and 28 on the year. This is our 3rd time covering them in the last 4 days. 124 to 97 over the Magic. 8 players in double figures. LaMelo back in the starting lineup, 16, 6, and 7. Brandon Miller, with 20 to lead them. Orlando, they dropped to 23-20. Franz missed this game, experiencing significant swelling in his ankle. He might have come back from his injury too quickly. Obviously, he wanted to for the Berlin game, but hopefully it doesn't affect him too much, as obviously the Magic are not where they want to be in the standings. They've obviously missed a lot of players due to injury this year. Tristan da Silva got the start. Ben Carroll led the way with 23. Bain had 21. Anthony Black struggled in this one with 4 points on 1 of 11 shooting. Mo Wagner was back in the lineup. He had a season high 14 points in what was his third game of the season. We're going to head back down to the Sixers. Again, the third time we're covering them in this video. They got a nice win over the Rockets, 24-19 on the season. 128-122 in overtime. Joel Embiid was dominant. 32, 15, and 10, a triple-double against Alperen Şengün. 10 of 19 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 11 of 12 from the free throw line, played a season high 46 minutes. Embiid has been playing a lot better over the last month. I knocked him up to an 89 overall again. His defense is not what it was. That's really the main thing keeping him out of 90s territory, but I could see him getting back there, and maybe if I just knocked his intangibles to 99, that would do it. I'm not, I'm not sold on it. Did not. Let's see how close he is. I don't even know I would improve. Let's say the foul draw. Yeah, all right. He's like not terribly close to 90, but still great performance for him. Hopefully he can keep it going so the Sixers can make some waves in the standings. 36 points, 10 assists for Maxey to lead the way. Kelly Oubre continued his solid play, 26 points in a start. Paul George was back, but rather than demoting Oubre back to the bench, they kept him in the starting lineup. George then starting at power forward, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block in 37 minutes. It's the first game that Dominic Barlow hasn't started, at least aside from the one that he missed due to injury. First game that Barlow hasn't started since November 23rd, 2 months ago. So we'll see if they stick with that moving forward. The Rockets, they dropped 26 and 16. KD, 36 points, but 8 turnovers. Jabari, 13 points, but 1 of 10 from 3. He's been very streaky this year. Rest of the Rockets were 17 of 30 from 3, 57%, so he dragged them down all the way to 45% on his own. In general, I think they will miss Steven Adams quite a bit, as Clint Capella is just not the same level of offensive rebounder, especially. So like they just aren't going to be able to completely overwhelm teams on the glass like they traditionally have been. I don't think they're going to play a lot of double big lineups with Şengün and Capella. So we'll see if missing that wrinkle affects the Rockets in the standings at all. Going over to Denver, if I can understand how the alphabet works again. They moved to 30 and 15 on the year, 107 and 97 over the Washington Wizards. Nuggets overall are 22 and 10 with Nikola Jokic, which is a 69 win percentage. They are 8 and 5 now without him, which is a 62 win percentage. They've had an easy schedule, though. Obviously, some games against the Wizards, but they've done a really good job holding on. Considering in like past years, if they didn't have a Jokic, they just would have been completely dead in the water. Peyton Watson has really established his star this season. He had a career high 35 points in this one, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals, played 40 minutes. He was 10 of 16 from the field, 6 of 8 from 3, 9 of 10 from the free throw line. I had knocked him up to an 82 overall, plus 1 from where I had it before, plus 3 from where 2K has it. He's upped his shot creation this year. It's not just his shooting percentages. Like, for example, he's getting 3 pick and roll and ISO possessions per 36 minutes, which I equate to an 80 ball handle rating. So yeah, he's been much better. He got the start at small forward in this one, which is more of his natural position. Jamal Murray led the way with 24, but Jonas Valanciunas made his return to the lineup after missing about 3 or 4 weeks or so. 16 points, 9 rebounds, played 22 minutes. So that allowed Aaron Gordon to start at his natural position of the 4, which then pushed Watson to the 3. Spencer Jones came off the bench as a result. First time he hasn't started in quite a while. Pickett staying in the starting lineup at the 2. Washington, I'm not even going to scroll over. 20 points for Keyshawn George, 19 for Trey Johnson. Dallas Mavericks, they moved to 19-26 on the year, 123-115. Now on a 4-game winning streak. Najee Marshall, season high 30 points for him, 7 rebounds, 9 assists as the point forward in this game. 10 of 12 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Cooper Flagg with 21 points, 11 rebounds. Max Christie, 21 points, 5 of 12 from 3. He's been pouring it on. Dwight Powell with a double-double, 10 and 12 in 27 minutes. And then P.J. Washington was back in the lineup, coming off the bench in this one. 10 points, 22 minutes. He'll eventually replace Caleb Martin in the starting lineup. Brandon Williams with 19, played 27 minutes. He's ahead of Ryan Nembhard in the rotation at this point, only 12 minutes for him. Golden State, they dropped to 25 and 21 on the season. Curry with 38 points, 1 assist. Who else is going to do the scoring on this team now? Draymond starting at the 5, which makes sense given the lack of size of Dallas, but he was ineffective, fouled out in 23 minutes. Keith Santos started at the 4, played 17 minutes. Podziemski had 10 assists in this game. Might be more fair to consider him the point guard on offense, as Steph is going to be taking the vast majority of the shots now, looking to score exclusively from here on out. But where they're going to get the rest of the scoring, who knows on this team. D'Anthony Melton has been like probably the next best scorer on the team after that. 22 in this one. Kuminga, 10 points, 3 of 3 from the field, but only played 9 minutes, left with some what's been termed minor injuries. He does not want to play for the Warriors anymore. He feels betrayed and unsupported by the organization. Okay, bro. Chicago, they moved to 22 and 22 on the year, 120-115 over the Wolves. They got back to 500. 7 players in double figures for them. Josh Giddey returning off the bench, 21, 6 and 5 in 26 minutes. Kobe White, 22 minutes. 22 points in 30 minutes. Trey Jones, 27 minutes off the bench, 12 points, 7 assists. Josh Giddey doesn't actually defend point guards, so his position's a little bit nebulous. I'm always swapping him between point guard and small forward based on how he's being subbed. Io and only 22 minutes for him. Kevin Huerter only 8, so obviously Giddey's playing time was at their expense. So maybe I'll change a position there. Wolves, Julius Randle, 37 and 6. Naz Reid, 20 off the bench. Edwards with 20, but 9 of 25 from the field, 1 of 8 from 3. They dropped to 27 and 17. Spurs, they moved to 31 and 14 on the season. 126-109. Wemby with 26 and 14 with 5 blocks. De'Aaron Fox, 31 points, 10 of 13 from the field, 6 of 9 from 3. Utah Jazz, they dropped to 15 and 30. Yusuf Nurkic, another triple-double. 17, 11, and 14. Ace Bailey, career-high 25 points, 11 of 16 from the field. George with 23. Bryce, Sensabaugh was back in the lineup, but was over 6. LA Clippers, they moved to 20 and 24, 112-104, 7 in double figures. Kawhi made his return to the lineup, 24 points. Zubats, 18 and 19 with 10 offensive boards. They got a win over the Lakers. They got 32 and 11 and 8 over out of Luka, 23, 5 and 6 from LeBron. Not much though from the rest of the team. Going over to Portland. They got a 23 to 22. They moved to 23 and 22 on the season. 127 to 110, 4-game winning streak for them. Drew and Denny both started next to each other. 27 and 4 for Denny in 18 minutes. Drew 15 and 7 in 19 minutes. So minute restrictions for both, but they were productive. Shaedon Sharpe with 27, and they got the win over the Heat. 23 and 22, they dropped to 32 and 10 for Bam in 37 minutes. Khalil Ware out for this one, also Mitchell. Yeah, we got it done in an hour. The video is about to end. Woo!